Hey guys, Death Metal Bard here, and we are back to do a little tutorial on 13th Age. The little bit of the second edition stuff, but mostly to try and show you some of the cool stuff that has been changed with Foundry. Foundry's been updated to 14, and I've realized that my tutorials I haven't done any in like 3 years, and hopefully this year I'll be able to find a more permanent, and I guess like I have my own room again, so I can record things and stream a little bit more. Here's hoping, obviously. But let us look at we as you can see, we kind of already created a character. This was Bob. We didn't put a thing for Bob, but maybe I should go a little bit over some more Bob stuff. If we go to prototype token, here we can see the prototype token for Bob. Here it says display name. I usually will put always for everyone, but you don't have to. You can always say hovered. Link actor data, which is very important, and the appending incrementing number. This is better for enemies, but we'll worry about that in a little bit. Movement action. This is basically how does the character do stuff. Default just basically is just whatever. If you have stuff like jumping, teleporting, this type of stuff, that will kind of change the tokens. I think it's how the token kind of looks, I think, on the screen. Disposition, appearance. This is stuff I don't really change too much. Vision, I usually turn that off. You can go to light. If you have a torch, you can activate it this way. Resources, which is very, very important. This is going to display things like character health. You can put, I always put always for everyone. This will show HP. And since recoveries are a very important part of 13th Age, go to bar number 2. You'll see recoveries. We'll go to update, and we'll actually let me look and see if I have. I don't know if I have any artwork. Don't know. I don't think I have any artwork that'll work, but let's check. We might just grab a random picture of some stuff. Let's say we'll use that as my dog's having some sort of something. I don't have a picture here, but that is okay. You can see here there are pictures you can kind of use for that. Anyway, we're going to go and we're going to create an actor, but we're going to create a monster. So we're going to put here, when you put create actor, go to type, it'll say monster/NPC. And this one, we're going to name it, let's name it Steven. We'll name him Steven the Monster. This is the character sheet or the NPC sheet for your monster. Now, we can kind of create something like this if you want to, if you kind of want to just design it as it is. So you can go right here, you go to actions, you can click add here, it'll create an action. So you can do things like slap. Here we would put the attack, so let's do D20 plus 2. And we'll say it is versus AC, which is your armor class. If it hits, monsters in 13th Age usually will do static damage. They don't do anything like 1d8 plus 3. That's for players. Static damage for monsters keeps them quick. So we'll say it's 3 damage. And if there's any, special things like a natural even roll or natural odd something, and an 18 plus or whatever, it will you can do things here. So this is your very basic monster that you can make. Obviously, you can change things here, but they implemented something that I think would be very, very cool for anybody new who is looking to create their own monsters in 13th Age, or if you're wanting to update monsters for 13th Age. If we go down here, you can see this little monster face. It says Browse Creatures. Click Browse Creatures, and you can see here it'll pick up all the monsters that are in the compendium. Now, these monsters are all first edition monsters. So, you'll have to change things there, but I will show you some cool little interesting things there in a moment. Let's look for a monster that's kind of let's go with a very simple creature. I like zombies. Zombies or even let's go even simpler. The skeleton. We have a decrepit skeleton. Or actually let's go with a skeleton warrior. Let's have something a little cool. Okay. As you can see there, I grabbed the skeleton warrior and dragged it over here. And now I have a token of the skeleton warrior. If you go to your prototype token, you can, again, do things like display the name. Here is where the append incrementing number and random adjective is very important. Because this is a skeleton warrior, it's going to be hard to say which skeleton warrior. So if you want to keep things fairly simple, click on this one and it'll have skeleton warrior 1, skeleton warrior 2, 3, so on and so forth. If you have the random adjective, this one will have not only the number, it will also give them an adjective like angry or sad or fashionable. I've actually gotten a few monsters that were fashionable, which are always funny whenever I see that. Click that off. And then if we grab our skeleton warrior, we put him here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. You have a sad skeleton warrior. Wow, that's pretty cool. Now, we have Steven, and as we can see, Steven is kind of basic because we decided to customly make him. But what if we wanted to make Steven for 2nd edition? If we go to the little monster right here, this one's called the baseline monster. Baseline monster effectively means this will use the baseline stats for 2nd edition. Let's click on that. You can see here we have normal monsters, mooks, which are your weaker monsters. You have weaklings, which are, they're slightly stronger than mooks, but they're slightly stronger in damage when it comes to mooks, but they still take a lot of damage. You have elites, which are stronger monsters, double strength, which are very, very strong monsters, and triple strengths, which are your bosses, basically. So let's create, we're going to create 2E Steven with this. And Steven will say he is a troop, which is your very standard monster. Their whole thing is they deal damage, and they have a good amount of HP. So we're going to click normal, and he's going to be a level 1 monster. So we'll keep it like that. Then we go to create monster, and it creates a baseline sheet for you. And this is based on 2nd edition. So you see here, let's look at regular Steven. In fact, we'll go here, we'll put 2E Steven. And you can see here, it changed his name. You can see here, because regular Steven has no initiative, he's 1st level, we don't know any resistances, we don't know his vulnerabilities, we don't even know what type he is. Over here, and also you see the hit points are 10, which is your standard, just generic, and his ACDC, his AC, ACDC, his AC, his PD, and his MD are all 10. Blank, blank. This is for adjusting levels, which is also kind of 1E stuff, but again, you can kind of change things as you wish. And he has one attack, which is very basic. This is basically, he would be considered a weakling, I think, or maybe even less than that in a regular game. But as we can see here, look at 2E Steven. 2E Steven has a +3, a +3 to his initiative. We know he's a first level troop. You can also change that if you wish. Role basically means what is the role that he has as a enemy. Troop, as I said, is a very bog standard enemy. Their thing is dealing damage. You could change that if you wish. In fact, I'll show you a little bit. Archers are like troops, but they are predominantly for ranged attacks. Blockers block. Casters cast magic. Leaders kind of buff allies. Mooks are your very, very quick little characters. Spoilers debuff. Troopers attack. And wreckers are very, very strong. As you can see, Steven here as a first level monster. He has 30 HP, and his defenses are 17, 15, and 11. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good basic damage. You can also change these as you wish. If we want to give him more HP or less HP, we can totally do so. Excuse me. But that is the core elements of this character. Do we want to? Yeah, we'll just do that, and we'll go to his HP, and we'll do hovered. Okay, I might. Let's see. We have our skeleton warrior. Let's give 2E Steven. We'll give him a very basic face. We'll say that he is a humanoid. These are the monster types. Monstrosities and Celestials don't really exist in 13th Age. They're all like Celestials are kind of thrown into like humanoids, and monstrosities are kind of put with beasts. But if you want this, like, types kind of don't matter too much unless unless it's like you're making it a point, like in a sense. Like, okay, I should rephrase that. Types are important, but only really as a means of identification. Like, a celestial creature could easily just be a construct, a demon, or a dragon, or a fae, or a giant. Like, a celestial could be any of these types. Celestial itself could be more of a title. Same thing with like a monstrosity. Monstrosities can kind of be any of these things. It's more about like the identification. But anyway, we're gonna make him a humanoid, so he gets a little human face. He's got a little helmet. Bob's gonna be a little bit different because I need to see if I have any something I could possibly use. We'll use the giant. This is for giants. We'll use that, and we'll say that that's Bob's face. Excuse me. And so with that, we kind of have some characters. Okay, so let's have Steven. We're going to have 2E Steven here, and we're going to have Bob. So with that, we're going to have a small battle. Hopefully, we roll really well, so I can show you guys all the cool stuff that he could do. Obviously, we know that Bob is not fully 2E compatible. We have to actually go in there and change some things for him, but since this is examples, and you can also copy and paste and work on him that way, I'm not going to change his stuff too much. We're going to right-click him. You can see here, there's Enter Combat. Let's enter the Sad Skeleton Warrior, and we'll add 2E Steven to that. We're going to go to Combat Encounters, which is the little icon that's 2 swords. Here is our people who are going to be fighting. If you right-click, you can pop it out, so you can focus on the chat message window. And we're going to roll. Bob rolled first. He got a 14. That's not too bad. That's also, as you can see here, Bob. Hold on. I forgot to do something for Bob. Because Bob has quick to fight, I have to click quick to fight here. So let's redo Bob. Let's re-roll. And as you can see here, Bob has re-rolled where he had, that is how quick to fight works. You can see he rolled a 12 and a 16. Obviously, he took the 16, so he rolled really good. Let's look at Sad Skeleton Warrior. He rolled a 15. And we'll see what Stephen got. Stephen rolled a 13. So, not too bad.
Combat begins.
As you can see here, this is the combat sound. They changed the turn marker, which I think you can change in the settings. I like having little announcements and little things to identify people. So we have Bob. Bob is a barbarian. We're going to have him attack. And I'm not going to have him... we're not going to have him rage, mostly just because rage has not been updated yet. But we're going to have him attack... He's going to attack the skeleton. And he's going to attack him with his weapon. And he rolled an 18 with a natural 13. This part only kind of matters if you have spells or abilities that can be affected by the natural dice roll. So if you see the end there, means natural. He rolled a natural 13, which is a natural odd. So if he was like a fighter, excuse me, goodness, a fighter, or anyone who gets like special things off of odd hits or odd misses, that would matter. But he hit regardless, and he's doing 11 damage to our sad skeleton. If you go to the little damage die right here, where it's in the hit, you can see here he rolled a 7 on his D8 sword plus his strength. And that is what equaled 11 damage. So if we go here, if you right-click, you'll see Apply Changes. There's, I think that's 1/4, 1/2, 1 by 5, 2, 3, 4. That's obviously means that's double if you're doing like a critical attack. This is triple if you were already doing a critical attack and someone gave you like an extra boost. Quadruple is for things like for sorcerers. Excuse me. Sorcerers, because they can gather power, if they hit, their damage is already doubled. So if they roll a 20, that will usually turn it into a critical. And if somebody bumps something up again, you could possibly get quadruple. So there are possibilities of characters doing just crazy amounts of damage in the system. But that is a regular attack, so we are going to apply our damage. And our dead little skeleton warrior, he took some damage. He's still going pretty strong.
It is your turn.
Now we have his turn. He is going to attack Bob because Bob hit him. He's going to use his spear. And he hits. because Bob's AC is 16, which will hit right on the money. If it's a hit, if it meets or beats, it's a hit. So Bob is taking 6 damage. Whoops. That is what you also have to be careful of as the GM. Even though Bob is the one who got hit, he was not highlighted. So click on him. And sometimes players can also apply the damages themselves. Bob got hit. Let's look at Steven.
It is your turn.
Steven, you could say, is an enemy, but he could also be an NPC. Let's have him. He's going to attack the skeleton. He kind of wants to fight Bob by himself. He doesn't want this skeleton getting in the way. So he's going to use a basic attack. And he hits. So the skeleton's going to take 8 damage. And now the skeleton is staggered. Staggered is a condition where someone is at half health. You can do things like that where you'll actually click on the little image. If you go here, you can see it's really small. I usually like it where it's kind of big, where you can kind of see what it is. Staggered lets people know, lets enemies and players know that they're at half health or a little under half health, which can be very important in a tactical sense. So Steven went. It is his turn.
It's your turn.
It is now round 2, and you can see right here the escalation die has gone up by 1. Escalation is a very important part of 13th Age because it will give heroes, like Bob, for example, a +1 to their attacks. And it consistently goes up until it hits 6. So as the fight goes on, and you're fighting possibly more and more enemies, or harder enemies, you will have a far better chance of hitting and defeating your enemies as the fight goes on. So it's kind of a good thing, because players will usually, as the fight starts, they'll be on the back end. They'll be they won't show if they'll survive or not. But as the fight goes on, they get into that rhythm. They will start getting that confidence and start fighting the enemies. So, it's Bob's turn. Let's say Bob decides to rage. Excuse me. My throat. That's what happens when I talk a little too much. But he is going to attack with a rage attack. As you can see here, this is the first edition one. They got rid of that in first edition. But if he was raging and he rolled the 17, that would be a critical, because the range when you are raging as a barbarian is 16 plus. So a 16 or higher creates a critical hit. So let's say for all intents and purposes, that's what we did. This is a critical hit for Bob, so Bob's going to deal double damage. And we're going to make sure that it is applied to the Skeleton Warrior. And the Skeleton Warrior is dead. He is broken. So Bob just took down the Skeleton Warrior. He's happy and triumphant. We're going to hide the skeleton because he's dead.
It's your turn.
Except I don't. Oh, I guess it doesn't. Huh. Okay.
It is your turn.
We'll go to Steven, let's say Steven's like, yeah, I defeated you guys defeated the skeleton. Now I'm going to take you out. His basic attack. He hits Bob, so Bob gets hit with 8 damage. Whoops. Again, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful with that health. Bob is hurt. He is not at half health yet, but he soon will be.
It's your turn.
It is now escalation 2. Bob is no longer raging. Sometimes it kind of depends. We'll say for all intents and purposes that's a per arc that he used. So we'll roll again. And here you can see, oh, he didn't roll anything, so that's just a miss. With characters in 13th Age, players will do miss damage based on their level. Since this was a melee and Bob's a barbarian, it would make sense he would have some miss damage. Some characters don't get, if we'll go here, if we look at the regular ranged attack, you see miss is a big blank. That means that he would not deal any miss damage if he used a ranged attack. But since he used a melee attack, you can see right here, it will do your level in damage. So you still get to do something. It helps keep the fight quick.
It is your turn. It is your turn.
Okay, Steven is next. He's targeting. If you also, you're probably not seeing it, but I am clicking the T button on my computer, and that is allowing me to target as well, just in case anybody wants to know. Steven is attacking again. He deals 8 damage to Bob. He is very consistent with his damage. So now Bob is staggered. Bob's not doing so well. He needs to...
It's your turn.
Excuse me. He needs to try and deal some damage to... he needs to try and deal some damage to Steven. But what if he doesn't want to do that? What if he's like, I kind of need to get away. I need to get some space. Bob is going to attempt to disengage. As you can see here, disengage is right here. It is an 11 plus to disengage. And what that means is you roll a d20 on an 11 or higher, you can move away from your enemy with your move action. They can't attack you, they can't do anything unless they have special powers that affect you in some way if you're attempting to move away from them. Now, disengage, it's a very tactical thing because you can fail these. If you fail, you cannot move away, at least using your move action. If you, now for some groups, it kind of depends on your game. For some groups, they say that, well, if I sacrifice my standard action, which is usually what you use to attack or anything like that, if I sacrifice that, I want to try and disengage again. Which to me, I think that's fine because you're literally sacrificing everything that you can do to get away. To me, that's fine. Some people don't like that too much, but yeah. Depends on the board, depends on the game. So let's just do a regular disengage. Did he pass it? Yes, he did. So he can move move wherever he needs to. Let's say he moves over here. And he wants to try and get some space. Well, that was a disengage check. So now he's going to rally. Rally is a standard action to do. So it's a good thing he passed because it would have not been good. Or if he just decided to move away anyway. If you fail a disengage, or you just decide to move away from your enemy and you don't even disengage, you say, oh, I'm just going to walk away from him. They can get an attack of opportunity against you, which is a free hit. And we saw that Steven was very consistent in his hits. So it's possible Bob could have gotten taken out if he decided to just move. So he is going to burn a recovery. Recovery is how you heal. Since he is rallying, he's going to use a recovery. And he got quite a bit of health back, but he had to use a standard action to do it. So that is his turn.
It's your turn. It is your turn.
Steven is going to, Steven would probably try to attack him and possibly take him down. If there were other players, obviously they might assist in keeping Steven from attacking Bob, but that is the long and short of combat. And that is the end of combat. Uh, you would take a quick rest, which is right here. You click on that. This will regain all your powers, anything that you had. As you can see here, he got he hasn't healed because it's mostly the auto stuff. That was a per arc. But if he had used anything like this, which he probably could have, I probably could have used this. I probably, yeah, I probably could have used cleave. Actually, that would have been really good for him. Probably should have used that, but that is again, that is why always look at your character sheet. That's why you should always check your stuff. Anyway, let's let Bob heal up with another recovery. He is now back to normal. If this were in the end of an arc, arcs are for big battles. Uh, he would get a full heal. And full heal gives you all your recoveries. If there were any deaths that he went through, he would get healed up. Any last gasps, all of that stuff would be taken care of. That is basically 13th Age. That's 13th Age combat, creating a monster, and creating a character. I hope that you all have enjoyed this new tutorial, and I hope that we will get to play some next time. So I hope that you all enjoyed. Hit things up in the comments, like and subscribe, and all of those good things. I'll see you guys next time.